This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Welcome, everyone, to yet another episode of Diagnosing the Aftermarket A to Z. I'm Matt Fanslow, and today I want to talk about my top 5 scan tools. But let me just quick thank our sponsor, NAPA AUTOTECH Training. NAPA AUTOTECH offers 3-hour virtual technical classes that can be accessed from the comfort of your home. To find out what courses are available, go to NAPAAutotech.com and click the NAPA AUTOTECH class calendar link. So yeah, I kind of want to do a list of my top 5 scan tools, and I'm not going to do like my favorites just because I don't know if it really matters. This is more or less like, honestly, recommendations. The reason I'm doing this is I kind of feel left out for whatever reason between Siri, Google Assistant, maybe Alexa, I don't know, Chat GPT. They've been listening to some conversations I must have been having, or who knows, but my feed on social media and just on Google has been getting lit up with all these lists, top 5, top 10 recommended scan tools. And some of these are put out by entities that would be targeting professionals or repair shops or technicians. And the lists, they're horrible. There's no way around it. They're absolutely horrible with names like Innova or Actron. I'm stunned that none of them had CarMD. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who wrote these on any of them. Maybe ChatGPT did, but I got to believe ChatGPT would have done a better job. Seriously, that might have sounded like a sarcastic comment. I actually think it would do a better job. And before I recorded, I probably should have ran it just for grins, but it doesn't matter. I just kind of want to rattle off a top 5 that I feel does justice, or I don't know. You always hate to say like need, but I might go with need. Like every shop should really have these. So number 1, I was debating whether I'll do them in order of like importance or whatever. And you know what? I think I will. So what? Everything has to vary a little bit by what you see. And that will be illustrated by number 1. And it may be misconstrued as being a cop-out. You know, in a way, almost feel like it's a cop-out. The problem is it's true. It's 100% true. Number 1 is factory scan tools for what you service. I know I've said it on here before. I've said it on other podcasts. There's many, many, many other people that have said the very same thing. It's nothing new. And yet there's really not that many shops that have factory scan tools for the cars they service daily. I think just by sheer statistics, most shops would have MDI2 and a subscription for GDS2. They can do the kind of the Tech 2 emulator. And there's really not that many that have that. And of course, Ford with IDS, FDRS, and the interface. If you don't have an interface now, you probably want to go after a VCM3. You can still service quite a few Fords with VCM2, but you're going to run into one eventually that you can't. So you might as well go after the 3 intergalactic back order. But I think they're starting to kind of weep out here and there. So not to single out any 2, it's look at what the cars are in the bays. What are the ones that you're having to repair and need programming? Are you sending cars out to get programmed? Are you calling in somebody to do the programming? And that just seems completely logical. Factory tools, I don't want to say that they're always like the best tool for the job. A lot of times they're not. A lot of times, speaking for having, I don't know what a fair number is. Let me use that loosely. A fair number of factory tools, oftentimes they don't see the light of day. I'm grabbing something else because it's going to do it better, faster, easier, something of that nature. It's going to show me data in a better way. So I don't see a way around it. And of course, the programming, in some cases, coding, you know, which we could get into rabbit hole discussions that'll take away from this. I just don't understand if you're seeing a ton of Toyotas or a ton of Hondas, you're not buying an interface. Toyota, very, very lenient on what the interface is. Honda, probably want to look for the Honda interface. They give us ways to buy them. If you listen to the programming episode, we brought up NASTF, OEM One Stop. Those are good resources to find out where to buy this stuff. So yeah, OE tool. Really, for the cars that you're seeing the most of, you should have one. So you might have 2-3 different factory scan tools. Do you need them all? I mean, that would be nice. And this list is kind of in lieu of which scan tool should you have, all of them. It's a great answer. It's probably the most correct answer, not always the most reasonable. So number 1, factory scan tools. Look at what's coming in the door. Most shop management systems will track car lines and you can see what percentage of what you're working on. So that's my vote for number 1. Number 2, honestly, I got to go with the Autel, the MaxiSys series. I really feel that it's kind of a must-have tool. And I'll tell you why. Beyond just capability, the module topography is so handy. I don't know about you guys. Network problems. We're getting more and more network problems every year. And yes, you could take virtually any scan tool, including the factory tool, get codes, pull out a wiring schematic, and you can kind of determine what modules, what network may not be communicating. You know, do I have an entire branch of the network down? Do I have an entire network down on cars that have multiple networks, like a high-speed CAN, a medium-speed CAN, maybe a dedicated body CAN, something of that nature? That can be done, but with the Autel, it's virtually, I don't want to say all, right? Once you say all of anything, it's immediately wrong. But God dang it, the vast majority of cars you pull in, you hook that thing up, it has a module topography, and knock on wood, it's accurate. It's been really accurate for me. Just that ability to just do the health report, if you will, or all module scan, see who's talking, who's not. And then the module topography on the Autel is broken down by network. Okay. So it's a powerful tool. So I think the choices are kind of like the MS 909, 919, of course, the Ultra, but you're in really good shape with the 909 and save some of that money to go against more tools on this list. Also, just it's a tablet, hooks up wireless. Wireless is very nice for maneuvering around, not being limited in your distance other than, you know, with the Bluetooth. If that's how you're connecting, is using Bluetooth, you could go Wi-Fi, but you're not nearly as tethered. Comes in really handy if you're doing testing and stuff under the vehicle, not worried about having a cable connected. After the Autel, another really, it's getting into the must-have range. And I might get into a little bit of trouble grouping these together. I think it's fair, at least for now. But number 3 would be the Topdon launch Thinkcar. I don't know anything about Thinkcar. I don't have one. I've never had one. I don't know a whole lot about launch. I have Topdon. I have Topdons. We bought Topdons for every tech in the shop. They have their own AutoPad. It's great. They can all do health reports. They can email them to our service advisors. So what I did is I set up a Gmail account that basically for the reports, all the scan tools that will email reports car side very easily. Any tech in the shop, anybody in the shop really, service advisors as well, can email those reports to that dedicated email address. And then being Gmail, it's accessible everywhere, kind of easy to deal with, searchable, all that jazz. Keeps our regular email cleaner. So we're not just getting hammering, one email account getting hammered down with so many emails. The Topdon support, what can you say? It's top notch. And the representatives, we know about Chad Schnitz. The guy's at all kinds of trade shows, supporting the profession. He's a good guy. We have Hawk and Light, more on the support side, development. He's all over social media. He's accessible. He's responsive. If he doesn't know the answer, he's going to go get the answer. Gives us a pathway to improving the product for ourselves. So it's really tough to beat that. And it's not to dump on Launch at all or dump on Thinkcar. I just can't speak to it as well. I wish I could. I can't. I don't know anybody within Launch. I know people at Autel, see them at the trade shows. I know people at Topdon. That's kind of where I'm at. And the ability to quickly and easily email car side is phenomenally powerful. They do have module topography, but it's listed by system. So they'll have the ADAS modules together, maybe the powertrain modules together, and the body modules together, and the chassis modules together. And I'm not saying that isn't worthless, but it's not quite the same. Okay. It's not quite the same. Sometimes it works out perfectly where the body modules, for the most part, they're all on their own CAN, a dedicated body can or something like that. Maybe just the medium speed can. The other network is the high speed can, and that's more powertrain. Sometimes that works out really well, but it's just not quite the same. Maybe that'll change. Maybe now that I've said it, it's already changed. Speaking mainly now to Autel and Launch, yes, of course, there's a lot of overlapping coverage. But sometimes you pull a car in, Autel will do it. Okay, yay. Autel's my favorite tool. Use it every time, every car. And then I need to do something and it won't do it. And oh man, go grab the Launch or go grab the Topdon. Boom, plug it in, bang, does it. Wow, what the heck? All right, well, let's keep using this for a while. It is great. It works. And then another car comes in. You need to do a calibration of some sort. Like, I'm thinking seat weight sensor or something like that. Won't freaking do it. Now what? Go grab the Autel. Boom, does it. I mean, that happens. That's the reality. For 98 years, the NAPA name has meant quality parts and service. It also reflects top quality training programs to help you build a more successful vehicle repair business. No doubt, the technician shortage is impacting everyone, but you're not facing this battle alone. NAPA has the solution by making NAPA AUTOTECH training available near you. NAPA AUTOTECH provides automotive aftermarket technicians career development opportunities through structured, disciplined, measured, and high-quality technical instruction, no matter the technician or service advisor's skill level. This instruction enhances understanding of vehicle systems, increases first-time repair capability, and overall customer satisfaction. It also prepares technicians to become ASE certified. It's a fact technicians who receive training to improve their knowledge and skills have a higher sense of job satisfaction. This reduces technician turnover and increases productivity, directly improving a shop's profitability. It is vital to the success of a shop's business that today's technicians are equipped to diagnose and repair today's complex vehicles. With our ever-changing technology, the technician's knowledge and skills need to be updated and refreshed on a regular basis. As you labor over the decision of whether to send your techs to get their skills sharpened, keep in mind, NAPA AUTOTECH training is an investment, not an expense, and it's available to all. Much of NAPA AUTOTECH's training is offered in more than one format to accommodate varieties of learning styles and training preferences so each person can maximize their learning. Whether you're more of a hands-on person or enjoy learning at your own pace, NAPA AUTOTECH is here to provide you with the training you need in the format that works best for you. To learn more about what NAPA AUTOTECH offers, contact NAPAAutotech.com. Number 4, Snap-on. Every shop still really needs to have a Snap-on scan tool. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Zeus or the Zeus Plus. It really could be the Solus Edge, or I think the Apollo is kind of the next step up. I think it's a scan tool. I don't know that there's a scope or meter involved. If you really want a scope, you like the Snap-on scopes, that's great. They work. Have at it. I think you got to get up into, of course, the Zeus. I don't know what the prices all are. I do use the Solus Edge quite frequently. Maybe the only annoyance is that it's got a cable. So when you're using the wireless tools like the Topdons and the Autels, you get kind of spoiled by it. Now you got a cable. Could use a Zeus. The shop does have one. The thing is the Edge, and maybe that's why I use it. I just kind of get a kick out of it, is I can go on my test drive and come back and upload my data list to ShopStream Connect, which is free. And I can look at all the PIDs on a PC screen and graph them out and manipulate them a little bit and all that. And I don't need to drop the big bucks. Granted, I could do more on the Zeus, like get more information on the screen, more PIDs, more graphs, but I don't know that I need that. I'm A-okay grabbing the Solus Edge and going for a drive. And I really, Snap-on might be kind of my go-to drivability tool, if you will, that I guess I kind of like when you're looking at a data stream and you're on a test drive, it's recording the whole time. I like that. I like that. I can pause it, save it, scroll through it right there on the tool, or upload it to ShopStream Connect, go grab a water or something, or scroll through the capture, put up a bunch of PIDs at one time, see what's all lining up. That's pretty powerful. Not everybody does that way. They make that work really well. It's still the best graphing tool we got, I think. There's maybe some of the OE tools for their specific platforms do a pretty darn nice job of graphing, but, TechStream comes to mind for Toyota. IDS isn't all that bad, actually, but all makes all models, and that's the world I live in. It's hard to beat Snap-on, man. It just graphs so nice, does a really nice job. You can knock down the number of PIDs with a customize that data list, potentially depending on cars, and platform and whatnot, could increase the PID update rate. Therefore, it's a much more accurate or detailed graph capture. I just find that a very powerful thing. You can pick up Solus edges really cheap, and you're not paying if you don't need the lab scope portion. You're not paying for the scope update. And once again, you will absolutely find yourself in a situation where Autel, Topdon, Launch, they're not doing what you need them to do. They're not doing what you want them to do. And the freaking Snap-on will do it. Of all the scan tools in the shop, that will do it. And a lot of times it's just mind-boggling to me because really kind of get spoiled with the Autels and the Topdons. Get spoiled that it'll do it. It'll do the adaption. It'll do a reset or pull up a bunch of PIDs out of, whatever module that normally Snap-on would give you like 6 PIDs. Autel will give you 20. Topdon will give you 22. And then there's those cars, and I think even BMW comes to mind. There's hardly any PIDs, and the freaking Snap-on will give you a ton. So for the price and capability, and like I said, like drivability, I'm out on a test drive. I can have the tool there just thrown in the passenger seat, driving around. It acts up. I can pause it, save it, zip back to the shop, sit down, scroll through it on a nice big monitor. And that's not to knock the Zeus because that wireless interface is freaking great. I love it. But if we're trying to be a little more economical and save money to spread it out across multiple scan tools, to be able to get more, then I find it very logical to be the Autel 909, MS909, Topdon, Phoenix +2, and then Snap-on Solus Edge. And now you still have some money depending on what your budget was. Maybe you spent all your budget, but you have 3 tools. Or maybe you have some money left over to go after. It's like, hey, you know what? We work on an awful lot of Nissans. Okay, the interfaces are on international, intergalactic back order. But when they're ready, you can put your order in and wait for it. You got some money to get the interface, and you're pretty much factory level Nissan or Ford. Try to get a VCM3. Money to go towards that factory scan tool. And last but definitely not least, the Autoland Scientech iScan series. So either the iScan 3, kind of the big tool, if you will, and then they have the SF, which is, I don't know if it's stripped down as the right word, but it's smaller, still as capable, 100% as capable. They're already really strong out of the gate on Euro and I would throw Asian in there. Pretty strong on those two. They're getting stronger on domestic. The great thing about this, and I suppose I should have mentioned it with Autel as well, remote programming. It's possible with the interfaces that you can have somebody on their network or through their company log into your tool or use your tool as an interface over the internet to program a module. That could come in handy. Even more so, I feel, speaking to me personally, the iScan tools will emulate interfaces. And since, BMW's ICOM ANext is on intergalactic backorder, the iScan will emulate the ICOM quite well and allow you to use ISTA-D, ISTA-P for factory level use. I also think it works quite well with Volkswagen. So Otis, can't get your hands on the Voss 6154, or maybe there's a newer one out. You can now get or use your iScan to emulate that and use Otis. So that's a really powerful capability. And like I said, just by itself, it's really strong. It's really strong on European cars and really Asian cars. I think I even had an immobilizer, like key programming, and I want to say it was on a Nissan, and for the life of me, my other tools weren't doing the job. And I was kind of like, oh no, what am I going to do? And this is before getting VI2 for Consult 3 Plus, the Nissan scan tool. I don't even know why I grabbed it. I have no idea why I grabbed it, but I grabbed the iScan 3 and it freaking did it. So it's one of them things, right? Sometimes you end up investing in these tools almost like you're building yourself a safety net. It could wire them all together and it'll just look like a safety net. Because that ends up what they sometimes end up being, is they just bail you out. So yeah, really, that would be my top 5. I kind of just trying to scroll through other scan tools and what would displace any of those top 5. And off the cuff, I can't think of any. It could get manufacturer specific, like car line specific. If you don't see many Euro cars, maybe you could take one of these away and you see a fair bit of Hyundai Kia. So you're looking at like the G-Scan is a terrific tool for those. So I suppose I should start my honorable mention then. That would be a definite honorable mention as a G-Scan. Very, very strong on Asian cars. I would say very specifically Hyundai Kia. It won't do programming, but about everything else that I can think of off the top of my head does quite well. After that, another honorable mention really is HP tuners. And no, I'm not talking about making changes to the car with it. I'm talking about as a scan tool. It's inexpensive for the interface. The software for the scan tool portion is free. It is generic. The graphing is quite good. And you could also do like 3-axis tables, meaning you could look at short-term, long-term fuel trim over RPM and load and watch the cells fill up. Or you can get creative. It's like you're not locked in. You can kind of invent your own way of looking at data, and maybe you find something that works out really well for you. Or maybe you find something like I do regularly that you shouldn't be allowed to make such choices. But inexpensive. I find when I use it, I'm really impressed. And a lot of times kind of like, why don't you use it more? And maybe the holdup is I got the Snap-on handheld and plug it in and I'm rolling. HP tuners, it's a laptop. I'm lazy, but it definitely deserves honorable mention for a very capable generic scan tool. After that, I think VAGCOM is hard not to mention. The Rostec, for the price, if you see a fair bit of Volkswagens, especially like pre-UDS, the UDS addressing system. And that's going to be most of the newer Volkswagen Audis. 20, man, I don't know. I almost hate to say a day because, they kind of do the staggering thing. Let's just tentatively start with like 2016, 2017 on up. You're going to see VAGCOM gets weaker and weaker and weaker. Still do a lot, but sometimes you don't know what it's doing because it doesn't display it the way you're used to seeing it. It won't do the measuring blocks anymore. And sometimes, depending, again, how new and the platform, it doesn't give you what the PIDs are. So you see the numbers scrolling around, but you don't know what they mean. Fault codes may not identify them for you. It just starts to kind of fall apart. But when you get to the slightly older cars, and if you, like us, you see a fair number of them, it's really got to have. It's really got to have. It's a terrific tool. It still is a terrific tool. It's very affordable. So it definitely deserves to be in the honorable mention. And after that, we could go off like the deep end of how old of the cars are you working on. And so I guess I won't really bring them up. If we're talking about really old cars and, 80s, pre-OBD2s, that can open up a can of worms. So yeah, I'm going to say that's my top 5 OE tools for the cars that you're seeing regularly. I think that's must have Autel, must have Topdon or a launch. I wish I could speak more about Thinkcar. I can't. I apologize. Snap-on. Every shop still needs a Snap-on scan tool. And then the Autoland Scientech iScan. So there you have it. Let me know what you think of that. I am very, very easy to find on social media. You can also email me at mattfonslowpodcast@gmail.com. And I just really want to take a second to thank our sponsor, NAPA AUTOTECH Training, for really making this all possible. And the Aftermarket Radio Network has a lot of offerings out there worth checking out. And yeah, thank you again for listening. And until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Matt Fanslow, Diagnosing the Aftermarket A to Z on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Matt on your favorite listening app. He's very interested in what you have to say. Let him know what you'd like him to cover and come on the show. Matt is all for advancing the aftermarket. Find Matt Fanslow on social media and connect or on aftermarketradionetwork.com.